The next type of noun is a collective noun. Collective nouns give names to groups of people, places, or things. So basically, a collective noun provides a way to discuss a large number of items or people using just one word. For example, it is much easier to say, "Class, may I have your attention?" than it is to say, "Cindy, James, Kevin, April, Jonathan, Wendy, Michelle, Jordan, Jessica, Charles, may I have your attention?" A quick way to test whether a noun is a collective noun is to drop it into this equation. A blank is a group of blanks. So the first blank is going to be your collective noun, and the second will be the plural noun. So let me show you some examples. So using this equation, I might drop in the word flock. A flock is a group of birds. So flock here is a collective noun. It talks about many of the same type of bird all together. Instead of saying, "Hey, there's a bird, 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 bird," I can just say, "Oh, there's a flock." Makes it a lot simpler. Another example would be a committee. So a committee is a group of decision makers. So our first blank here, the word committee, is our collective noun. And our second blank is our plural noun, decision makers. And the plural noun ends in S. Notice that the collective noun does not, because the collective noun is actually singular. It's just one group. Here's another example. An orchestra is a group of musicians. A prickle is a group of porcupines. Bet you didn't know that. So here are just some examples of how you can use this equation. It's a really good one to know. It's good to use to check yourself on the quiz whether a noun is a collective noun. Now, tricky thing is you can take a collective noun and just by adding an S, change it to a plural noun. So let's look at an example. So I might start with the equation. A class is a group of students. So class here is our collective noun. Now it ends in S, but just because that's how you spell the word, it's not plural. Students is our plural noun. But I can take that word class and make it plural, but it will no longer be collective. Here's an example. A school is a group of classes. So here, school is our collective noun because it's talking about a group. Classes is no longer collective because we are looking at them in the plural form, as in there's many of them. But if I want to talk about all the separate classes all together under one word, I would use the word school. I can then go on and say a district is a group of schools. District is now the collective noun, and I have changed school into a plural noun. So it can be a little bit confusing. The main thing is, does it fit the equation? If it does, that first word is going to be your collective noun. So it's a really good way to check yourself before the quiz. All right, so there's just a couple more types of nouns that you probably are very familiar with already. So compound noun. That's when you have to use more than one word to name the who or what that you're talking about. And we do this in 3 different ways. The first way is just by hyphenating the word, mother-in-law. So that all goes together. It all stands for one person. It's naming one person. In this case, we use our hyphens. Another way to do it is just combining the words and making them into one word. So stopwatch. Stopwatch is different than, another type of watch. So we put those words together, we make one noun out of it, and it names this particular type of watch, stopwatch. All right, the last way is that sometimes we just leave them separated. Police officer. Police officer is its own entity. It's its own noun. So we wouldn't say here that police is an adjective, like what kind of officer. A police officer is a specific thing. So you can also just have a compound noun that you use 2 separate words for. All right, the last type of noun, and I'm not going to get into this one too much right now, is the possessive noun. And possessive nouns are just who's and what's that own stuff. People, places, and things that own different things. And the way that you make a noun possessive, you guys know this, is just by adding that apostrophe. Possessive nouns show ownership, but be careful not to confuse them with adjectives. So possessives don't ever describe, they own, they show ownership. Another huge thing to remember is that adjectives never use apostrophes. So if you see an apostrophe, it's going to be a noun. Pronouns don't even use apostrophes. So if you see that apostrophe, you know that it's a possessive noun. All right, the last thing, and I want you to pause the video at this point. Well, let me talk to you about this. I forgot about this. So a little bit about adding the apostrophe S, S apostrophe. We're going to go into this a lot more later on because, it's kind of a tricky thing with some words that are irregular. But basically, if it's singular, you add that apostrophe S. Plural, go ahead and plural a word by putting S or ES and then add the apostrophe. Sometimes you have those words like children that are plural, but they don't end in S, so you do have to go ahead and put the apostrophe S. All right, last slide here, and we'll be finished. But I want you to pause the video after I'm finished speaking and write these down because they will be on your quiz. So noun suffixes. We have the suffixes, the word endings that we use to create nouns out of root words. So you can kind of look through here, NESS, happiness, TY or ITY. All of your isms, those are all nouns. I'm not going to read through every single one of these. You guys can pause the video and do that. But pay special attention that these word endings change words to nouns. Now, not all nouns have a suffix, but a lot of them do. And a lot of those root words that we can change to be adjectives or adverbs, it's all going to depend on that suffix. So learning which suffixes will mark a word as a noun is really important. Thank you guys for listening. Hope that this helped you in some way. Please see me anytime you have questions, and we'll just take it from there.